What's going on, guys? Welcome back to your morning watch list. What we're going to do is run through a couple penny stocks. We're going to go through a couple large cap stocks. We'll run over the S&P 500 as well. So let's get it rocking and rolling. All right, so we're going to start here with Tesla because Tesla had a big jump overnight, as you can see. This $439 price, almost $440, is a pretty significant point. You can even see that it started to bounce right there this morning. So I want to show you guys the significance of that level. All right, so if we go take a peek at the daily chart here on Tesla, and let me delete these older drawings so we can just get this clean. All right, so what we're going to do is put our first resistance / support line right here on this line at 439.44. All right, now we're going to go back to the 1 minute chart. All right, as we go back to the 1 minute chart, you're going to see we bounced right there. So going forward on the day, for all you Tesla lovers, right, you see this big jump, you're like, oh, it's going to keep going, it's going to keep running. It could, but it will most likely have to stay over that 439 price in the immediate for that trend to continue up in the immediate, okay? If in the event market opens and you're seeing the price of Tesla coming back down through that 439 price, you could see some selling action occur there because that would be the price of Tesla coming back down and breaking through that support level, okay? And then if we go over to our 4-hour chart, our next nearest resistance target we can actually aim for currently is going to be about 464. Now, let's say the price of Tesla goes up to that 464, almost $465 price. What is that going to do? Okay, that's going to make it do something like this. Ready? So price goes up, hits resistance. Price comes down, it dips. If price goes all the way back up to that level, I mean, theoretically, it's going to cause like a little double top over the previous resistance. So our next nearest target to the upside that we could aim for on like bigger time frames, bigger time trends would be about 464 to 465. So let's just say that Tesla goes up to 465 today. You're usually going to want to be short bias off that level as soon as the price gets there, okay? So that being said, I personally don't really think you're going to see Tesla get the well, I guess it could. Let me just double check a couple things. That's 454 there. Yeah. 465 today, it does seem like a little bit of a stretch. I could maybe go with 454, but 465 today, it does seem a little challenging. Now, we've seen Tesla do some crazy things, so I'm not going to count it out. But before we can even get to 465, within the 5-day trending analysis, you still have resistance to get through at 454. And if we go back to the 1 minute chart, you're going to see that 454 exists over 3 standard deviations. And typically stocks don't usually like to trade too far outside that blue line. So let's say Tesla rips, it goes through that 450, runs up to 455. We would most likely see resistance and then have it sell back down below that 450 level. Seems like a logical outcome for me, okay? Now, along with giving you all this analysis on Tesla, I haven't even looked at the S&P 500 today. So let's see what's going on. We're kind of just trading sideways this morning, pretty flat, nothing really too crazy. We're right on trend. We had a lot of dips going on here, so we know where the support level's at, and we know where the panic sell-off will occur. If we can somehow get below those lows, then everybody who dip bought there, dip bought there, dip bought there, and dip bought there, they're all going to panic out and stop out. So again, right now the market's just kind of flat. There's really not a whole lot to go off of on the intraday for me right now. The 4-hour chart doesn't have low risk resistance to sell into until about 338, 339. Your daily chart, on the other hand, is the one that's a little bit more important because as you can see, we've been holding the half standard deviation support on that dip. Now we're existing right here at 333, 330.89. So 330.89 comes into play down there. So that's so far outside the intraday channel, it would be tough to even get there to begin with unless the market's truly breaking that support, and then it could do it. So for right now, you don't really have any low risk resistance to sell off of on the larger time frames until 338, which exists outside the intraday channels. and you don't really have low risk dip support off of, trend from the daily chart until 3:30. So right now we're just kind of in this middle zone, which can cause a lot of confusion, because if we cross up and over, anybody who's maybe short or whatnot, we can squeeze up, and then anybody who's long right now is still in a situation to stop out. So for me, I'm pretty much just kind of neutral on the market given its position right now. So we'll just kind of open, see what happens, and then go from there. All right, now we're going to move over to KODK. So KODK is a stock that we mentioned yesterday, and we basically said if the stock's going to rip up, it's going to have to cross through pretty much these prices right here around like $9 or something. And sure enough, later in the day, we cross it and then we rip. Now, I am going to be an active short seller on KODK today, most likely, and I will be an active long bias trader on this stock. You can see we have dipped down right to the 1 standard deviation support, and you can see that we dipped down to 1 standard deviation and we have bounced, okay? So for those of you that for some reason don't think that this strategy and approach that I use doesn't work, I get a lot of people on some of my YouTube videos that say, it doesn't work, the lines always move, it's inconsistent, and it's bullshit, and yeah, whatever. Okay, so tell me, how in fact is it bullshit when the price comes right down to that line and bounces, okay? Now look where we've gone right back up to. We got up pretty close to our next trending resistance, and now we're kind of selling off. So the more that you use this and the more that you do this, you're going to see it work, okay? What we'll do is we'll shift gears from KODK in just a second, but what we're going to come back to, in a couple minutes, okay? And we're going to see if, in fact, this price moves right up to this level at 11:30 and then see a red candle or something. Because there's a strong chance that if this presses up to here, you're going to see some hesitation candles. Now, this dotted line is not typically the strongest resistance point or the strongest support point. Usually the solid lines are. So again, to see it go up to here, hesitate and break through, completely normal, okay? To see it to go up to there, hesitate and then stop, completely normal. But again, the more you use it, typically we're going to see stronger holds, reversal plays off the solid line. So that being said, let's say this morning, right, later on towards market open, if this rips all the way up to this 11.93 price, it's probably going to stop there for a second. But I can tell you that white line is where the significant shift in momentum will happen, and that can blow the price all the way up to these 14s and what have you. So what I want to do now is I want to go and take a look at the daily chart on this, because this is where we're going to get most of our concrete detailed information regarding where those stronger sell-off points can occur. Okay, so if we go to the daily chart, we have a level here at 1335. We also have one up here at 1690, but again, don't even think about 1690 for now, okay? Don't get all hyped up and get FOMO and think this is just going to crush it today. Just hold on, all right? Now we're going to go to the 4-hour chart. 4-hour chart here, we got a level at 1458, and then 1458, and then you also have a half standard deviation level there at 1723. So if we go back to the daily chart, you're going to see that we have that blue line there, okay? And then we got the 4-hour chart. You're going to see the dotted line right there. So say in the event this runs all the way to like 17, almost 18, there's probably going to be a very active sell-off at that point, okay? Because that would be so far blown out that, again, it would most likely happen, all right? Now that we're looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see exactly where the resistance is at, okay? Ready? See that dotted line? Bam, okay? Let's go to the 1-minute chart. Where did the stock stop at? Bam, 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 bam. Can't get over that level, 11.99, because that is the 4-hour trending resistance. So your breakout today will really only exist as the prices are crossing through the 11.93 price. Now, yep, and look where 11.93 exists, right at that intraday regression level. So again, as I said, you have to get through that intraday level, and that intraday level is matching up with your longer time frame level. So again, that's the uniqueness of it. Your longer term trend is matching up identical to your intraday trend that will dictate the momentum shift to the bull and then just rip, okay? So we're gonna watch that 11.93, and it just so kind of happens that today that 11.95 price is matching up with the pre-market high. That's not always the case, so don't think that it's a pre-market high breakout. It's really a 4-hour trending breakout and an intraday regression breakout. So that being said, you can pretty much expect, look where we're at. Look at what happened. Okay, we went right to that dotted line. Okay, let's see if we get the hesitation that I was talking about. All right, and again, usually this isn't the strongest level to play off of, but look at right up there, you're kind of seeing the sellers. Now, again, it's normal for all candles to see a little bit of selling activity. But look at, I mean, that would have been your first target, right? If you went long from here, that's your first trending target, okay? So we'll come back to this in a second, and let's see kind of how it ends up playing off that level. But look at, I mean, it's not, it ain't rocket science. It's stopping, okay? Price to that dotted line, and people are selling it, right? So it exists. It's a real thing, okay? Now we're going to go over and we're going to take a look at Sava. So Sava, again, this jumped up pretty big overnight, had a nice run, went up to about 940. So this already hit resistance, right? So you can see, look at, right? Price runs up today all the way where? To the blue line, right? So bam, right there to the blue line. Go to the intraday chart, and where's it stopping? Right there. Now, it also exists pretty much close to this previous top, sure. That's a known, but again, it's really that blue line on the daily chart, or sorry, the 4-hour chart that it's actually running into and hitting resistance off of. So again, Sava already hit resistance. I can't really see this having too crazy of a long day. Probably be more actively short on this stock, depending on what it does. If by the market open, it's all the way down here, we're really not going to want to be short bias. We're probably going to be more long bias until we bounce up and then get back closer, like say 860, and then we can be more short bias. So for right now, we're not going to really be long on this. We're going to be more or less short. But if it's all the way down here at like 780s by market open, then the risk is less favorable to be short. It's more favorable to possibly be long for a reversal play. So again, right now, Sava is just kind of like, looks like a piece of shit. Okay. All right. Now we're going to move on over to Apple, because why not? Everyone likes Apple, right? Even though their phones are shit. Okay. Actually, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm coming to the conclusion that all smartphones are shit. I've had an Apple, I've had an Android, and the more and more I use them, I'm always on my phones because I do a lot of work. I work online. My whole business is pretty much online, so I do a lot of work online. And I had a Galaxy Note, that was okay, and then I had an Apple, and that was just you basically just want to take a chainsaw to the phone every 10 seconds, and then I switched to like Samsung Galaxy. Edge? No, not a Note, but S Galaxy. I don't even know what the fuck this is. Who cares? It's a piece of shit anyway. So that being said, Apple's a turd. You can see, as I'd mentioned just the other day, we kind of hit this 4-hour trend around 110, and we're holding. It's okay. I don't really like it. TTM's green and red. It's kind of iffy. So for me, I do think that we are potentially getting to a lower risk bounce play off this 106 level. The only thing that makes me a little iffy is that 106 will snap in a heartbeat if this market gives way, right? If this market doesn't hold and this market gives way, Apple's just going to get trashed real quick. So let's give another scenario here, right? Let's say the market does in fact correct down in the S&P 500 towards like 318, or the NASDAQ. Or let's go to QQQ. Here we go. Or let's say the NASDAQ does not hold its daily trend here and it snaps through, then you can be sure as shit that Apple's going to get toasted, right? They're going to get buttered up and crushed, okay? Buttered up and crushed, ladies and gentlemen. So, again, for me, I can't really be too long biased on Apple. I think you kind of have to stay on the short side here and just anticipate we got a little bit more weakness to come. But, is what it is. So other than that, ladies and gentlemen, those are pretty much the main stocks I was going to follow. So Sava, KODK, make sure you watch that one today. Again, like I said, I'm an active short seller on it. So I've already shorted it this morning. Okay, so that already tells me that there's other players on that stock that have been betting it down. When we have players like me betting the stock down, and if we are wrong, we can cause an enormous move to the upside, because again, that's how the game works, okay? The game works on a buying and selling basis, right? If you buy the stock goes up. If you sell the stock goes down. But what happens when you buy a stock and then have to sell it? You help the stock go down. So buyers are the ones that create selling, okay? And sellers, if on the short side, are the ones that create buying. So understand that there's always two types of buying and two types of selling. You're either buying to go long, or you're buying to cover a short position, okay? And when you're either selling because you were long, or you're selling because you're going short, all right? So there's always two types of buying and two types of selling, okay? when the people that all buy, and then sell to get other long, if they are wrong, they can create big sell-offs, okay? Now, the people that short, if they're wrong, they all have to buy back to get out of their position. They can cause an enormous long. So again, we have a lot of active shorters that are on the stock KODK. So as weird as it sounds, people are selling the stock on KODK, so we're going to kind of watch that one long bias today. And once we've concluded that the long might be done, then I'll probably hop back on short. All right. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you like this morning watches. I hope you learned something new. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the video, or subscribe to the channel, share the video, do whatever you got to do, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Everybody, take care. Have a great rest of your day.